This bill makes silver stacking impossible. Our goal as silver stackers is to swap out our fiat currency, swap it into silver, swap it into gold, accumulate as much wealth in the form of precious metals as we can. In this video, I'm going to show you that what is going on in Congress is completely flipping this on its head. Now, this is called, Controlling America's Perilous Spending Act. I think that is just so poetic because that is exactly where we are, perilous spending. And it starts by saying the Congressional Budget Office projects that spending as a share of gross domestic product will rise from about 19% in 2022 to 24% by the end of the decade, and the federal debt is projected to increase by approximately 16 trillion. See that? 16 trillion over the next 10 years. It says the absence of fiscal guardrails as such as statutory discretionary spending caps is the key words there, means that there's no meaningful restraint on Congress's ability to appropriate excessive spending. And what this does is, look here, these are the caps that puts in place. 2023, the cap would be $1.5 trillion. 2024, 1.6 trillion. 2024, 1.6 trillion. It starts to go up, right? By 2026, we'd be at 1.6 trillion. By 2027, it goes a little higher, 1.7. And it goes up, I think it caps off here 2030, which is right around the corner, 1.8 trillion. Oh, here, 2031, yeah, caps off at 1.8 trillion. That's the goal. Now, this week, if you're enjoying this video, please hit like, please hit subscribe. It really helps to get this information out there. This week, we have a bill presented this Monday, actually, of this week to Congress. And this is the Regulatory Flexibility Act. Again, the names that are placed on these acts. Regulatory flexibility. How flexible is your regulation? This act, look at how long this is. I'm not going to read this whole thing. I've already read it. I'm just going to tell you in my words what it is. This Regulatory Flexibility Act is important. It's an act that safeguards small business. And the thrust of it is that if you have a small business, any regulation coming down on you would be different from a regulation that's placed on a large multinational corporation. That makes sense because it's two different entities going through different issues. On Monday, a bill was presented to make an amendment to this act. So that's what Congress is discussing. Look, this shows the most viewed bills being presented. Like, this is what Congress is discussing. And it really shows the lack of efficiency that we have when, meanwhile, you and I as silver stackers, all we're thinking about, this is the debt clock. This is this is the U.S. national debt clock, right? We're thinking about this number here, 34.9 trillion. I'm not even going to try to read the rest of those numbers. It's almost at 35 trillion. As silver stackers, we're often looking at this debt. It directly impacts what we're doing. It impacts the value of our dollar. It impacts how we're able to swap that dollar into precious metals. This is what's pressing for us as silver stackers. And so check out these bills. This is what's really going on in these discussions in Congress. Here's the first: Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act. That's important. We're in an election year. That's important. Here's Safety from Violence for Healthcare Employees Act. Again, it's important, but it's not as pressing as what you would think. You would think in your mind that Congress has these heated arguments about what's really pressing. Here, Treat and Reduce Obesity Act. Service Member Quality of Life Improvement and National. Again, these are important. Kidney patient access to technology, innovation. So these are important, but you would think that right now, as I'm talking about this, you would think presently in Congress, there's heated debate and it's all being efficient. That at the top of this video, this bill that I showed you, this is actually from the 117th Congress. This is from, you should always know the number of your Congress. Presently, we're at the 118th Congress. This is from the 117th Congress. And when I look at this So it's last year. When I look at this, I always think, oh, more than last year, actually, 117th, more than last year. When I look at this, I think, wow, we didn't realize at the time that those are the days, this is what we really should be hearing about constantly. We should be hearing what I'm highlighting here. We should be hearing about 1.5 trillion as a cap, 1.6 trillion as a cap. And as silver stackers, this is top of mind for us, but clearly it is not top of mind for those that are in charge.